Here we are in Sefer Yehoshua, and we're starting a new parak, Parak Ches. See the pasuk first, then we'll give the background information, some interesting insights. What's happening over here? Vayomer Adonai el Yehoshua, Al tira v'al techas. Kach imucha iz kol hamilchama v'kuma leha'ai. V'nasati be'adecha es melech ha'ai v'es amo v'es idoi v'es arza. So Hashem over here tells Yehoshua, don't fear, don't lose resolve, meaning keep your cool. Take with you the entire nation to war. Bakum aleha Ai, and go to Ai for the second battle. And you should see that I gave it in your hand, the king, his nation, his city, and the entire land. There's a lot of questions over here. Let's first just see what we have on the page. I mean, we'll come back to the Matsudas David. Let's actually first give a little background of exactly what's happening over here. All right. This is actually from the art scroll. Our art scroll background. What's happening? We're dealing with over here a second battle, the Battle of Ai. And we know what happened in the first one. It was a loss, 36 people, because Achan took from the consecrated property over here. Right. Now this time, there are two challenges, the military tactics. The first battle, there were only 3,000 soldiers. But now, a very large force was going to be mobilized with an elaborate military strategy. Now, the obvious question that has to be asked over here is, why did Yehoshua need to mobilize a large force? Hashem is going to cause the victory anyways. We'll come back to that. But first, let's give a introduction over here. Hashem said, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. They're going to be given into your hands. And Yehoshua, what's going to happen over here is they're going to set an ambush. It's going to be 30,000 people who are going to be hiding in the woods, waiting to attack the city of Ai. Now, they were confident following their last victory, the people of Ai, that is, and they were going to basically be drawn out of their city. It's an ambush to fight war against the Jews. And then they're going to leave no defense. They're going to be defenseless in their city. Amazing idea. If I could somehow do like a chalkboard with like a diagram or something, like I would. Just picture it in your head, right? All the people over here. I mean, I could try to demonstrate with my hands. It would be a little funny, but if this is the city over here, and this is the Jews, right? So all the people are going to come to the Jews, and then there's going to be more Jews over here around their city. Boom, they're just going to come right in. Something like that. But the idea is, excuse me, they're going to set an ambush. They had a whole military plan over here. And Yehoshua would give a signal to the people when to activate and when to actually go into the city. And then they were going to set the whole city on fire. And once they would see it on fire, there's going to be a lot of panic over here. And they're going to be caught in a trap between the people in the city and the other Jews, right? The 30,000 people who are in the city and Yeshua's army. So we're going to see what ends up happening. They're going to end up being victorious. The king of Ai is going to end up getting hanged. And they're actually going to be able to take from the spoils of the city. We'll see why. Right. That's basically the idea. Now, let's discuss over here a few explanations. What's going on over here? First of all, why did Yehoshua need to be told not to be afraid? So the art scroll quotes the Chidah. The Chidah says, even though I'm not, excuse me, even though Hashem directed them to attack Ai in a completely military manner, it shouldn't be taken as an indication that there wouldn't be any divine assistance, which means that there would still be divine assistance over here, right? So therefore, that's what Hashem was telling Yeshua. Don't worry about it. Even though I'm telling you to get involved over here with the attack, you don't need to worry. There would still be divine assistance. That's one approach. The Imam always says it's natural for a person to be afraid to approach a place where he was in danger previously. Now, even if he realized that the danger is no longer there, the place is scary for him. The city of Ai would always remain in the memory of the Jewish people as a symbol of how delicate the providence of Hashem is, and how easily it could be lost. Yeshua was also afraid that even though the band didn't exist anymore, they still didn't have as much divine protection. They're like someone who just recovered from an illness. Even though he isn't sick and weak anymore, he's not as strong as he was before. He has to be more careful than he was before. Hashem was with them, but question is, how great would the miracles be? Now, why did Yehoshua need to mobilize a big force? Few answers to this question. Number one, you have the Ralbag. These are all quoted by the article. That even though Hashem promised that I was going to fall, and they knew that they were going to be victorious, Yehoshua relied on the principle, Ein soimchen ala nes, which means that we don't rely on miracles. It's Gemara in Shabbos Lamed Beis. The miracle might not occur. Gemara says, and even if it does occur, Menachem lo b'zichu Yosef. It will detract from a person's merits. Bein Machaya says that even if a miracle will happen, we have to strive to do everything in our natural power to make it occur. Bein Machaya and Bereshis. Vav, Tezvav. And whatever we can't do will end up being miraculously performed. Another answer, according to the Metzudas, is Yeshua wanted the other people, other nations who were living in Israel to think, oh, they only won because of numbers. That would then lure them into mobilizing all of their forces together to fight against the Jews, as will end up happening. And this would be easier, because then the Jews would be able to defeat their enemies in one shot instead of engaging in a long series of separate battles. Funny that's kind of happening with Hamas now. But okay, kind of different. But answer number three, Shemi Shmuel explains that the reason, quoted by Arash also, for the first defeat was non-existent anymore. And it was necessary for Yeshua to deploy a lot of soldiers from a purely military point of view. Because when they crossed the Jordan River, the Yarden, Arvus, as we learned in the past, communal responsibility one for another went into effect. So therefore, the entire nation suffered for the individual sin of just Achan, as we learned in the last parak. So therefore, they were united, and Hashem wanted Yehoshua to illustrate this by having the entire nation join in the battle. Symbolic. Answer number four. Mamloy says that Yehoshua was commanded to lead the attack based on the pasuk in Devarim, and they would then be protected and assured victory in his merit. They didn't need a large force, technically, but it wouldn't be respectable for Yehoshua to lead a small group. So the idea over here is that it's a pasuk. Yehoshua was going to lead. They knew they were going to be victorious, but he couldn't lead a small group. That's what it was. Wouldn't be respectful. So those are a few answers. Mitzvah Hashem, next time we'll continue with the next one.